Wicked. So, DXY has been rather bullish this week, to be honest. Um, I mean, well, we are ultimately bearish, but this week we've had some bullish momentum, which is a little bit expected, to be honest, because we've got these override zones as well we could pull up to. Absolutely, we can sell off, but I think with this sort of corrective movement here, we could see price gravitate to, even override 3 within time. So seeing something a little bit larger wouldn't be something I would cross off the board. That's pretty much it for the DXY this week, though. Nothing else to really report on. Really nice structure, 1, 2, 3. Very nice commitment. Honestly, phenomenal. So yeah, we'll so I did kind of shuffle these about. So the watch list kind of changed more so when pairs started to shape up and didn't shape up. So it's a little bit messy here. I'll show you what I'm looking at, but essentially we had Kajian come up to this 1, 2, 3, scoot back up, tap into that, create something a little bit more messier, push down, a little bit more messier, push down. This is a little bit more cleaner, but just I think sitting on that low cost a lot of people to probably not want to take that, but it's definitely valid. And then looking for that last final flag here holds a little bit less more probability, but can still push through here and go further. Looking at the higher time frame, we can see it's definitely still possible for this to just move drastically before we see anything. An entry was taken at the very top over here. So I had a this sort of pattern over here where I had a short, made a little bit of profit, got out of the market, and then we started getting very corrective creating this, where I saw this could potentially be a 1, 2, 3. As we got in here, I missed this trade and we sold off. But it's typical for 1, 2, 3. So we came in correctively approached here, and then scooped back up with a correction in giving an indication that we could have a strong sell-off. We didn't quite tap into the override, and I missed this position here where we had the point of sale. It is what it is. And then we had some opportunities on the 15 over here and here. This one was more so take a message from the market. We could be going short, sort of a bit corrective. So I thought perhaps there could still be room for it to just have one more squeeze, push up, and then it could go. So I left it off the board. As I saw this one today, I was contemplating if I should or shouldn't put it on watch, but I think there's more than enough context for this trade to be. So what I saw over here, and I'll just go to the 5 minute just for refinement so we can see it a little bit more clearer, is we had this override section here and then this section here. As I saw this go in for the 1, 2, 3, the push up, the push back down, right over here is where I took my entry, had my stop loss way above though, only because we could be sitting through here, and then as the market opens, I don't want to be sat in the market while we spike up. So that's where I was. I left my risk open until we've kind of broken about here. As we ran into 1%, that's when I kind of locked in now. And yeah, we're just basically sitting here with about 2% profit. So we're looking pretty good. I did go with a full 1% risk on this one. Usually I'll go in with a 0.25, but given the context of the larger structure and where we could be playing to, we're in that impulsive leg. So if we commit with a lot of aggression, and that's what I'm liking. The other gameplay was we kind of just reject here and we pull straight back up without creating anything. But as I went on to the 4 hour, it became a lot more clear. Um, and yeah, just looking at it here is we've got enough now. So goes back to the higher time frame. Daily, there's enough there for this to just drop off now. And as we're in that impulsive leg, I'd like to be in there with some aggression. So went in for a full risk position, taking that to override 1 and 2, and we're just going to ride that through. So as we approach, it could easily be, a 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9% position, and then we could be seeing some sort of regression here. So this can just sell off here. And if we come in with aggression, I could definitely see this breaking into the 12% region. So for that reason, Kajen's looking solid. New Zealand yen, a little bit of a mistrade for me, unfortunately. There was a lot of anticipation, waiting, and opportunity. Just in the end, it wasn't what it was supposed to be for me. So I had the 1, 2, 3, more than enough. We tapped into that, and then we pushed down. With that push down, I basically thought, okay, this is very interesting. We've got that sort of aggression. I think at that point there where we pushed away, that's when I was interested. So I didn't quite get a position in here, but when we created this, just as forecasted, it was where I was more so interested. I was looking at this 1, 2, 3, and this is the sort of flag that I thought, this is looking really nice. And we had this, and then from there was a short here where if you get into a bit more granular on AFT, we had this position in here, and then it was basically a 1, 2, 3 here, and I took the trade here. But then as we approached high spread hours, I think it was over here where I kind of got out the market, and I just decided that I didn't want to be sitting through this sort of very messy corrective price action, and I thought, spreads could take me out if it started pushing it back higher, and then we tap into that level over there. So even though there was more than enough on the higher time frame, in the end I just kind of opted out for it, and that kind of caused me just to miss this position in a hole. Um, would I? Am I really bothered about it? Not really. We did even come back up to kind of give me an opportunity to get involved again. I just chose not to get involved. Now, the way I see this is we might be correcting this sort of final running channel squeeze where, sorry, not running channel, but it could just, yeah, it can just give it that running channel sort of vibe right now, where we've kind of gone in for the 1, 2, 3, but we've correctively come back down to this low, and now we've tapped into it with a bit of aggression here. But this could just be enough to give it enough momentum to push back up high, tap into this high over here, and then we sell off. So that's one of the reasons why New Zealand yen was one that I kind of crossed off the board. I was anticipating this. So if I go to the 1 hour, we can see that over here, we have this sort of section here at the bottom, which makes a lot of sense if we take this out of the equation and we look at it just like this. Well, we've had the 1, 2, 3 completion, push down, larger flag, which is a bit soon, and then we aggressively push down to the low, and then at this low here we could be creating a flag to go. It's not the traditional sort of trade I'd look for, but looking at how corrective this move has been, I think it's going to push up higher. So New Zealand yen was one that I kind of just opted out now not to take, just for the pure fact that it can get a little bit more messy. USD yen. So USD yen's a tricky one, to be honest, because it's one that pair that doesn't always give you the entry that you are looking for. It kind of just goes beforehand. But fortunately, I was able to catch the AFT entry. This is one that I opted in during spread hour, and I came out of my New Zealand yen trade and got into UJ. And I'll kind of explain that. So with UJ, there was a little bit more to it. So if I go back into the higher time frame and we go to the weekly, as we can see on the weekly, we have got this 1, 2, 3 leading up to this inflection point. We tapped in, broke that, came back in with aggression. Now, looking at it like this, if we are coming back down to this low, or even going to break this and cause a 90% rule, we have so much more room to play with, especially just like New Zealand yen. However, getting a little bit more closer with this, let's just hide that. Give me a second. Yep. Okay. So now just looking at it here, we're so early in the run that these flags are going to be so much more higher probable. So as I see this kind of scoop drop, didn't quite give us an entry. This one here gives us the entry. However, this can just drop off and kind of scoop all the way back up here, or this can create something a little bit larger, which is not impossible. It's very, very possible that we can kind of just turn around on this and then not even override 2, but we come up for this override here. That is very, very possible. However, at this point in time, given the momentum that we have on the weekly, I think what's very possible right now is that we can sell off from here, and from here to here, we can just go. There's more than enough in here now coming from this sort of sleeper flag, this flag here, and then this flag here. Correction to correction. It just got very messy, but the entry was here, and now we're kind of in that selling run. So from here to here, there's more than enough. Now, if I unhide my position, and we just quickly have a little look at that. Where is it? Fibonacci? Yep, there it is. So essentially, and I'll stay on the 4 hour for simplicity, is the entry was taken in here, right? And I'll show you the entry in a little bit more clear, but entry was taken here. To the low, there's 14%. So once we break this and we're moving down with aggression, this could just impulse and get here, and then we might see some sort of pullback before we even do anything. However, we can still just kind of tap into this low 8% and then go back up, which is not a problem at all. Once again, this is just funded capital. So by that time, I can be out of the position, and I would have passed, or sorry, not passed, but I would have scaled up to the next level anyway. So that's just one thing in itself. I think by the time it gets around here, my CJ position and UJ position will be aligned, and I would have scaled up anyway. So by that time, I could be evaluating, another position within here, middle flag, whatever. Going into the position over here, so we can see if we go back over here, we have the flag over there. So we had this 1, 2, 3, very clear here. And essentially, I was looking for the push down on a flag, which we got. I know some people opted in for this risk entry, but it was just a bit too risky for me, given off the impulsive RO3. When we had that push down, I was looking for the 15-minute entry. And then I saw that when we had this first bullish candle here, I was like, okay, this could be the area of where we correct. So I wanted to get a little bit more granular with it, and I went in and looked on the 5 minute. So I saw this as the 1, 2, 3, and it was a little bit more so seen like this. And I was like, okay, this could be enough, and we just sell off aggressively. So I took this entry, but my stop loss was way above, right? The reasoning for that is stop loss was covered all the way up here is because we were approaching high spread hours, and price can just kind of move all the way back up here and then come back down, and then there's a lot of variations of things to do. So I wanted to keep myself well protected, especially being on funded capital. um I wanted to really protect myself, and there's more than enough room for number one, scale. There's more than enough room for protection. So by the time if this position plays out for what it really truly is, I would have essentially, passed this challenge and so forth. So each hurdle as it comes. So letting the trade play out in the end. And as we can see, we essentially created this larger flag. We did have a little bit of a spike. I missed it because I was just walking my dogs. I believe it was between 2 and 3 o'clock over here. So would I have taken an entry here? Probably not, to be honest. During this period, I did kind of leave I moved my position from break even a little bit higher, just in case we kind of scooped all the way back up here and then just dropped off. I didn't want to kind of be stuck in that while I was away from the screen. But to be honest, that's not the way I want to trade. And I'm kind of realizing that now, that it's more about preserving and getting more time out of my day, and then trading is just a side effect on the side of that. So I can tighten up my management now and put it over here. This can definitely scoop all the way back up and then come down, because we haven't really fulfilled that sort of gap. But many a times I've seen this price just continue and just go. So at the moment, there's no real requirement for this price to come back up here. We are in that sell run. So looking at this, I think management is definitely one to be definitely working on. I don't want to mismanage this position because there's so much potential to it. So I'm going to be very, let's say, lenient with my management, but that's basically the position. Obviously, a lot can change. This can scoop all the way back up before we come down, or a lot of data can change. So that basically just kind of sums up this. There's an AFT entry probably sizing up as we speak. Is it a position I would want to take? Not really. I think I have enough risk on the table at the moment. I mean, I've mitigated this risk completely, and then I've got CJ as well. But I think at the moment I'm not really looking to scale on top of this position at the moment. I think I just want to kind of ride it out, take its time. But this definitely has potential for it to drop off. So I'll probably let to see this through. But if this kind of creates something a little bit larger, gets a little bit more corrective, then I'll evaluate it then. But that's definitely a solid entry in there in itself for this to kind of drop off. Euro Aussie is very similar, I think, to a few other pairs. It kind of just went off though. I've been waiting for this position for quite a long time. I didn't get the tap into that override that I was looking for. We tapped in over here, we pushed up, created this corrective flag. I didn't read between the lines, and then we just shot off. It's a lot like, I think it was GBP USD as well, or Euro GBP as well. Just honestly, there were just trades I was waiting for so long, and they just went without me. So it is what it is in the end. In terms of where that's potentially going, is we're probably seeing Euro Aussie make its way up now here. So we could get a correction here before we shoot, but that's more than enough now. We've had that scoop, we've had that corrective loss, bull flag, and then we've just given it that push. So see a correction and continuation. Euro USD. Euro USD, sorry about that. Euro USD could potentially give a little bit of a sell-off. I think it's not going to be as dramatic as a few other pairs. I think we're going to see some slow pushing momentum. I think seeing how price is, I just don't know if it's going to sell off far. I think looking at the DXY as well, we're moving very corrective. If the DXY is coming up higher, then definitely with Euro USD, we can certainly see price coming back down to these sort of sections here, giving us that potential to buy again. But it was in a miss entry for me as well. And it's funny because, um, sometimes you wait for too much. But I saw price over here, and then there was a potential for me to buy on AFT entry. And I'll show you that. So it wasn't the sort of AFT I wanted. So this bit here, and then it kind of just went off. It would have been something like 6 or 7%, I can't remember. But then it dramatically came back down anyway, tapped in over here. And then that was the second buy opportunity, which I just kind of opted out for, which is the double bottom below the low. This one had the double bottom push up and a flag, and that's why I was going to opt into it. But then I did take the trade and I closed it with a small amount of profit, like over here. And then a couple minutes later, it just went off. So it is what it is, but this could be more than enough for this to catalyst for it to go higher. GBP Aussie, yeah, just a lot of headache with this pair, to be honest. Took a few losses, few losses actually, not just one. I was trying to time this right, and essentially there was a trade in here, and then I think when it just kind of went down and scooped back up and tagged me out for break even, that's where I was kind of like, okay, let me take a message from the market, and then when we pushed up and pushed down. I missed this bit here because I think I was asleep probably. No, I wasn't. Oh, I did. I think I took a nap in the day. Anyway, I missed this trade, and then I was kind of just messing with my mindset a bit. And then this is where we were over here, and I thought, okay, this essentially could be enough. So we could have this little scoop here, and then we go AFT on it, and we had this little bit here, and it kind of just dropped off and then kind of just pulled back up. And then by that time, I was kind of just a little bit confused. And then we had this little override, and then we just rejected from it. And I was just like, what is going on? Drew this on, broke it, and then it just got messy. And I think just GA wasn't the one for me, to be honest. I think if it does go, it's going to go. Like, I don't care. We are definitely have more than enough for this to sell off. I just think it's just so messy right now. I don't want to touch it. I think there is this sort of, let's say, you know, expanding sort of feel to it. I mean, it's just there's not enough there for me to be like, hey, this is a solid trade. I would like to see a lot more in order for me to want to take something like this. It's just, yeah, at the moment I'm going to leave it. I think what is going on with this pair, that's the real question. I think there's data in there to support something like this, but I'm going to leave that one out. GBP New Zealand. So this one could be shaping up for Monday now. They could possibly. I'm not gonna put my bucks on it, but this could possibly shape up today. Is it one that I'm gonna sit there and monitor? Probably not. I'll probably be in the gym while it's probably getting ready, but I'll let it do its thing. I'll let it go down, break low, come back up. AFT is where I want to be, but I know I'll probably miss that entry, so probably push up and then we get something a little bit larger and I'll get in there for the long. Who knows? I haven't really got much time, to be honest. Got an hour till I'm in the gym, so for that reason, I'm probably going to opt out of that one and just not take a trade. Who knows? Maybe not. We'll see if it happens, but it's pretty much in that area. I think coming up to high spread hours, the weekend, and so forth, it's probably best that I just stay out of the market. And I've got CAD yen and USD yen, so I don't need to look at GBP New Zealand yet. Missed this trade, just seeing it now. So this was the entry I would have taken. I was, yeah, that's a shame. What a shame. Forecasted it in the morning. I just didn't put it on watch for some reason. I just thought I wanted the structured approach, but not realizing that, yeah, it doesn't matter, to be honest. Definitely solid run though. We've had a few entries in here. We've even had a nice AFT entry. So we've had that push down. There was entry in here, sold off, another entry over here, sold off, another entry there, sold off, another entry here. So nice formation in terms of trend, and then soon we'll have a pullback. So it's GBP USD for you in a whole nutshell. Swiss yen, yeah, Swiss yen's nice. I mean, to be honest, yeah, I mean, it's not the best of pairs at the moment. It was looking very bullish, just like EJ. But yeah, I mean, at the moment, it's making its way back down. That's what I was thinking as well with this trend. Are we just going to break and pull back in with this corrective squeeze? So I think there was trades in there that I could have taken advantage of, because I definitely was looking at these as well in the morning. I think it was roughly around about, yeah, it was roughly around about here. This 123, and I was eyeing this bit up, and I was like, that's a solid trade. But then again, I just opted out for it. Preference. There was more than enough to have 10 in there as well. Uh, yeah, so I would probably squish about 12. Um, and yeah, wow, I would be decent. It would be very decent, about 13%. Wow, with a lot more room for it to move. I would not have realised it would have moved that much. But Swiss, I should have realised with the sells on Swiss, I should have considered it. But anyway, had a lot on the table, already had some position open, so didn't want to opt into for it. This is reading this low. I'd wait for it to come back up and come back down again before I take an entry, but that is definitely looking nice for a long flag. Euro GBP, missed trade for me. Was waiting for the low to be tapped in, broken, pushed back up, and a flag. We kind of just correctively squeezed and boom, sold off. So there was more than enough for this to happen anyway. Seeing this in hindsight, it's just I was looking for that, especially kind of meeting with something like this. 1, 2, 3 comes in over here. 1, 2, 3 kind of just drops off and then comes back up. But at the end of the day, I'm not bothered. It's just nice to see that these things eventually do play out. And then silver getting slightly more messier now, but I wouldn't be surprised by next week if we're somewhere down here at the 90%. Oh, that was the 90% rule as well. So saw this as one big corrective squeeze up. We pushed, we broke. Now we're creating this sort of flag over here. There was an AFT entry, which I think was just about up here. There was one entry here, which is probably the entry I opted out for. I saw this kind of impulsively push, and I was like, oh, that is a nice flag. And I think it was seen on the 15. And yeah, so over here, and that's when I was kind of like, oh, that could be a good trade. But I didn't want to just take that tight squeeze, and then we did commit. So now looking at it, I mean, for sure that would have been certainly a good trade, but at what risk? To be honest, so let's put it at 10 pips. Yeah, there's roughly around about 10% now on the table that I could have run, but yeah, what risk? To be honest, so. Yeah, for this week, it's been a pretty interesting week, to be honest. Very interesting week. Absolutely. I just think there's a lot of lessons for me to learn. Stop getting sucked into the charts. Pass my funding assessment. Just kind of have more confidence in myself as well. Don't let your let's say ego get the better of you as well. Many things, but I'm absolutely stunned and happy with the sort of progress I'm making. So yeah, thanks anyway. Have a good week ahead, and I'll catch you in the Sunday market breakdown.